Oh, goodness me. I've been sitting here and I was wondering, it doesn't seem like Google Earth is very, very well infrastructured in the Mombasa Old Town, but we are going to do the best we can. We're going to look at what we can, and you're going to be horrified. Hey, FFF, thank you so much for being here. Michael, hola jefe, Roby, it's good to see you. Hi. Good morning to those who it applies to. Good afternoon to those that it applies to, and good evening to those that it applies to. It's good to have you. Well, okay, so disclaimer, I am not going to stop the live, but it's not the same as buzzing around Gibraltar where there's a lot to see. Not many pictures, and the pictures that are available on 3D going into Street View, I have to say that they are not very good quality. So we are really going into a time, let's say, we're going back in time. Whereas what I've seen on Google Earth as such, yeah, I'm going to say also I am shocked at developments. So the usual will apply today with regards to sound check. I've got everything else off. There are no other devices on. And I'm seeing that there's an ad running. I hope no ads are as long as the one I'm seeing at my end. We're just going to go right in, seeing as we have a lot of people here that already know the infrastructure from above, you know where we're headed. So I'm going to get my Google Earth and buckle up, peeps. We're going to go down. We're going to go right down into Mombasa. First of all, just the outskirts, just to get our bearings again, especially when it comes to how Mombasa is situated. And I'm going to have to make sure that I keep checking for sound. Brea, hey, good to see you. Thank you for being here. So we're going to go in because Mombasa itself is on an island, long, short, well, past history. The closest one that I can remember myself without getting out the whole Britannica situation is Portuguese settlers. There's always been a bit of an issue between the coast, at least the east coast of Africa, and the Portuguese. And what we're going to focus on today is not orchids. This is a chillax kind of a thing going back in time, basically expanding on all the videos that I did with regards to my hunting grounds, going into detail, seeing if we can't get some street view. Well, and let's shock your heads. Mary Faye, hey, it's good to see you. Hello, Anita Brown. Good to have you here. Jumbo Sana, hello. Right, so what we've got here basically is, if the music in the background is a little too loud, let me know in the comments. I can switch it off entirely. It could also pose a bit of an annoyance. I thought there might be a nice little bit of ambient background music. Shmel, it's good to see you. You are further south of where we're at today with East Coast. You're down in South Africa. Hope you're doing well and enjoying a nice warm summer. Needless to say, also in my title, I said chasing the summer because, yep, summertime, where the living is easy, especially on this side of the continent as well. Now, okay, we have in general the North Coast. I hope the cursor is nice and big, nice and bright. The North Coast, let's say, of what I consider Mombasa, even though other municipalities are around, is right here. That is the North Coast. And then we'll also do a quick stint. And when I saw all of this, I went, whoa, what happened to the trees? Anyway, this is the South Coast right here. Beautiful beaches, gorgeous reefs. But I have to say, from what I'm seeing, the South Coast is not as large as I thought it was back in the day. We used to always go to the South Coast, besides the fact that on the North Coast, we had fabulous beaches ourselves. So looking from Google Earth, I can only say, my word, how things have changed. My mind is blown. Obviously, all the tourist resorts are down here on the South Coast with all the hotels. the first and foremost one that I remember back in the day that was making its ways into the south coast was the one up here. I don't know if it's still called that, but it was called Shelley Beach. Shelley because there was a lot of seashells on that beach, and it was the closest to Mombasa mainland proper. Now I say that mainland, even though that you can see Mombasa itself is on an island right here. But if I were to zoom in and show you the outline of Mombasa itself, it does go, the municipality stretches out into the outskirts and around. But the main part of Mombasa, how it started out was down here, and then it moved its way in and around the island as, you know, progression and population grew. But the land itself, the island itself, was the main part of Mombasa. And I have to say that, wow, one thing is making a video, taking screenshots, putting the arrows. Another thing is to see close up exactly how this has developed since I have it in my memory, which is great when you think, you know, progress is good. It is not so good because back when I went to Mombasa again with my children, I don't even remember exactly the year. I don't know, 2000 something. The population, in my opinion, had exploded into, if you think of a 1 square meter space, and there was maybe one person on that square meter of space when I lived in Kenya, it had exploded to about 10 people in the same square meter of space. It was quite claustrophobic, to say the least. Now, with expansion of human beings coming into an area, of course, infrastructure starts to suffer unless you do something about it. And clearly, they haven't. Now, the outskirts, what I was looking at earlier today, just to brush up, you know, get my bearings so I don't confuse you with where we're headed today and start going, oh, I can't see this, I can't find that. I was horrified going into the old town of Mombasa because we can't. Google Earth couldn't or didn't walk into all these tiny little streets in there. You can see how congested it is. And this is what we would say Mombasa Harbor. When you read up in the history books about the colonization, before even the British arrived, it was the Portuguese. This was Mombasa Harbor proper. And now it's called the Old Port because on the other side of the island, there's a huge infrastructure in comparison, which is another port, but it is, let's say, the new port right here. So our main point of interest back in the day was mainly the old port of Mombasa because that is where my dad had his ship and the silos for the cement that was coming in powder form, and it was pumped into his ship, and that is called English Point. At this point, still called English Point, but let's just go down there because when I saw this image, this is new. Even when I did my Orchids and Stories video, there were still silos in the Google Earth image, and you can see how this land has been flattened. There are no silos anymore, but we can go down into the very aptly named Cement Road. That's what this road is called officially, for reasons, and we can see that before they took the silos down, it was already being taken apart, well, let's say separated from the road, because obviously another development is going to go there, and it's taken away, let's say, everything that I kind of remember from back in the day, with the exception of the loading jetty. This is Kenya's coat of arms in the flag. The shield, Shmel. That is the shield within the flag of Kenya. Mombasa coat of arms, I would have to look up. I don't have that in memory. I don't remember that. But this would be English Point. Here's the jetty, the gangway, and everything that would take to the ship. And my dad's ship would be at an angle coming into port this way, facing into what is called Mtwapa Creek. So here's the jetty, and he would be facing this way. Mtwapa Creek is over here, all this. Here you see the new infrastructure. This is the new Nyali Bridge. Whereas at one point there was the oldest floating bridge right here. It was on pontoons, very rickety kind of a structure, but very safe, and it lasted for decades. So this was actually the pass over the Matwapa Creek onto the island of Mombasa on a floating bridge. Unfortunately, they dismantled that. I think that they regret that. It would have been ideal for the population explosion to have this bridge still available for pedestrians. But as per usual, look at all these beautiful homes down there. You know, this was all public land because the road would attach right here and then take you up and around into the island and the town of Mombasa. If you continue the road to the left, you can see how it then expands, widens out, and you get into Mombasa. So the island itself is not very big. It's all very well within reach, but traffic was horrendous, of course, because the bridge was at less than 20 kilometers per hour. And it was just congested even back then, especially during lunchtime. But I cannot believe that, of course, there are some people that have to come and then build their properties over there. But if we go down there, even though the homes look nice, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a taste of how unkempt, untidy everything is. So hold on to your horses. We're keeping it real here. So back in the day, and when I say back in the day, I'm talking the years from 1966 to 1985. This would be the main access and entrance road or exit road to Mombasa Island. Of course, well, I'm happy to see an anchor there, but of course I have to then also reiterate that there was no school here at the time. There was none of this building here at the time. This was all, let's say, not wasteland, but it was unkempt. It wasn't claimed by anybody. And there was a Ministry for Christ mission somewhere down there, around the hill and up over the wall by the water. So pretty much you can see what happens. There is absolutely no upkeep that I have seen on the island of Mombasa as such. And this is the car right here. It's probably a four-wheel drive Subaru, probably much needed for our trip today, that Google Earth had for the entire trip that I am seeing and that I am observing while I was doing my research, just to make sure that I don't make a big mess of this. Because when I looked at it earlier, I'm telling you, I was, oh, look at this. My goodness. Now, we are still on Mombasa Island. What we're looking at over here is the bank of the mainland. And in the house over here, this used to be our fishing club. It is called the Bahari Club. The Bahari Club has now gone from what I can see from up in the air. You can see the tide is out. It has gone, and it has also been replaced by luxury homes or apartment complexes. So you can see the incline here from the top down. This was not our access road at the time. We had to come in, go through, and then come down to the Bahari Club. I don't recognize any of the jetties pointers here. They weren't there in my time, but our fishing boat and our ski boat were in this bay, as were about 100 others as well. A big scene, like lifestyle scene back in the day, was Bahari Club, and it was definitely with fishing competitions and everything else. And of course, water skiing was a huge thing as well. So we had our ski boat, I remember it was called Inshallah. Everything is very Arabic around here, but this is the location here of the Bahari Club, where this beautiful complex is, and it doesn't even say what it is, but you can see the access road from up here. When you go down, it's super steep. We had a very old 1972 Beetle, gray, and that thing would, you know, that noise that Beetles make trying to get up the hill, which was gravel in first gear. That was always very exciting. And you would come down here, there would be a rickety little clubhouse, and all of this was playgrounds, fishing, everything from workshop to old fishing boats. And then there was a huge scale over here. You brought in your catch, you had it weighed, very important for competitions and the like. And this is also the place where there was the mango tree. I think I mentioned that to Michael once. The huge mango tree I would hang out under, and the aroma of this area back then with that massive mango tree, it was absolutely delicious. But yeah, none of that I can show you at this point in time. Anyway, so that was a little bit of a distraction, but you can see how beautiful this is for water skiing, going all the way up here to Tudor Creek. Fantastic. You could really mess around. There weren't really many rules back then. I also did some eel fishing back here. Oh, that was disgusting. But anyway, right. So Mombasa town, I lived over here. This was my home. And we would, let me see if I can get in a little bit closer. And we would have to traverse from my home along here, normally come through down here and then into town and go to school. Now you can see, as with the architecture of any old established town, we're going back to the 1500s when this was a very buzzing, like, trade route stopover. The Portuguese wanted it, and then the Portuguese eventually did get it because they built a beautiful fort here. It's been awarded and whatever, but I'm telling you, we're going to go down into that fort. The pictures that I see, even though everybody praises it as a UNESCO and heritage site, it's like they don't care. They're not taking care of it, and it looks like somebody pretty much, let's have a look if I remember, was it that dot? It's as if somebody pretty much just said, yeah, whatever. And you can see that we've got some locals, Jambo Sanam, Wanawake. So these are all the old structures of the fort. This is called Fort Jesus. And this is what it looks like today. A lot of people come to visit the site, and it's unfortunate that it doesn't get much more maintenance than just the elements. Nobody's walked off with the guns yet. Surprise, surprise. And I'm not trying to be naughty here. I'm not trying to be rude, but I also know that back in my day, things would just disappear, especially also sorry about that. So things would just disappear. Manholes, everything that wasn't solid or bolted on would disappear, and it was such a shame. Now, they say that there is a butterfly house, but you can also see we don't have that many images to choose from. But I'll give you an idea of, let's say if I can find a view across. Here you have your souvenir shop. I want the view across the waterway. There we go. So this was the entrance into the port back in the day. Indian Ocean to your right. And then going through here, we still can't see where my dad used to berth his ship, but this would be then into the old port. And all these things weren't here. These are all buildings that are new. None of this was here back in the day. All new developments, probably quite unaffordable. This jetty was here, this part. I think that's a fishing thing, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place. But we are in, what people call a third world country. So things are not as pristine in shape. Just in case you decide to go, know that the minute you venture outside of your resort, you're going to be confronted with the reality of what is not taken care of. Unfortunately, we don't get a view here, but you can see at least still the fort buttresses and the guns. Big shame. I don't know whether to think it's a good thing or a bad thing, to be honest with you. Personally, I was super, super disappointed Now, I was just here. I want to see if I can't find another image that'll take us and give us a look around across the waterway. Nope, that was the one that we just saw. So sorry about that. We'll go down a little bit lower. In my video back in the day, I talked about a Chini club called the Mombasa Club. This is where I spent lunch many times because my school was on the island back here somewhere. So it was faster for the 2-hour lunch break just to go to the Chini Club. It's an old English club with very strict rules that still demands, back in my day, certain kinds of regulations that you, oh, we're going back to the same place, certain kinds of regulations that you have to wear a tie in the evening, formal dress, etc. At least that was back in the day. So basically this path would take you to the Chini Club. And of course there are no pictures. Now let me see if I can find some images along here. If you have any questions at all, stop me at any given time. You see even the Arab Garden, there are no images. We'll go down to this spot right here and see if we can't look through that one little gap. But we get at least a view of the architecture. This is all new, of course. I'm going to show you some of the authentic architecture and how tight the squeeze is here. So our Google Earth car managed to get through to this part. But you see, yeah, modern technology, everybody needs Wi-Fi, electricity, etc. So this is all very shoddy looking. My head is screaming, this needs to be refurbished, this needs to be brought up to speed, taken care of, and make it more attractive for people to actually want to visit. I don't know about you, but something like this just makes me want to scream, get the builders out, you know, so that we can restore buildings to look similar to what they used to. But this is very typical of the old town of Mombasa. Now you can imagine we've got extreme heat in here, usually around 100 Fahrenheit, maybe that would be like 34, 35 degrees Celsius, and it's 80% humidity in here. So you don't get much of a breeze, even though we're right at the coast, because everything is such a tight squeeze. But this is as authentic as I can show, because when we scoot out elsewhere, we're still in the old part of Mombasa town. This is what it looks like. And I have to say that, I have to say that I am super disappointed. Sorry about that. The two of them are being rambunctious here. But super disappointed in seeing how unkept the whole thing is. I didn't want to cancel the live because I was thinking, yeah, this is not going to go down very well, but at least I wanted to show you a little bit more of what I could, because in the old port proper, this is where all the dhows would be. The dhows come up from the Arabian Sea, the Persian Gulf, and then with the monsoon winds, they come to East Africa, they drop their wares, and then 3 weeks later, the wind will take them back up to their home port. And this used to be full of dhows. This picture being more recent, there are no dhows anymore. I'll be happy to take you down and hold on to your horses, because it's not exactly the postcard experience of Mombasa proper. So you see the sign here, Mombasa Old Port. Incredible. Visitors, please register at the security office. I mean, okay, security is high. There's that. But it's not exactly something where you go, yeah. Because I remember in Ramadan, this place used to be a buzzing area. Everybody would be lining the streets, trying to sell their wares. Now, imagine if this was restored. Huh? Just imagine this building with still, you know, the drawings. I know they look more modern, whatever, but they were trying to recreate what was there prior. the old walls there. I mean, somebody at least tried. They've put up plants, but look at the roof. Everything's caving in. It looks like a hurricane has hit the place. But this is for me, I must say, a little bit upsetting. I was going to take you to Mombasa and say, look at this, look at this, look at this. Isn't this so cool? I mean, in its own way, it is cool. Oof, this guy was speeding. Now we went up fast. But can you see the remnants of what used to be beautiful decorations around the buildings? Let me see. I'm seeing the comments move. Yeah, the architect, it's so pretty. And that's what I was excited about when I was setting up the live, Fernanda. I was going to say, look at this, check this out. And I'm seeing rubble. I'm seeing nothing. Nothing is kept. Nothing has been maintained. It's as if back in the 70s when I used to roam some of these streets, it just stopped. It left, you know? It should be in my, check this tuk-tuk out. This is cute. The little tuk-tuk down here says manager. That is cute. Didn't have tuk-tuks in my day. We had matatus. And a matatu is a typical white van. And if it fits 6 people legally, it should fit 24, and then it's a business. And that's basically what the story is for matatus. For some reason, we say, never go back to where you were happy. That is, I know, I guess there is some truth in that, Fernanda. I guess there is, but for me, I just would like to bring out, you know, mingi shillingis, a lot of shillings, shilling being the currency. Bring out mingi shillingis, and just like Venice, refurbishing their palacios and maintaining that area, because that is why people go to Venice, not just because you can go on a gondola. It's the architecture and everything. And look at this building. I would just like to have mingi shillingis and start refurbishing one by one. Look at the beautiful carvings here. And it's just left. Of course, salt in the air, high humidity, it's a killer. It's a killer for this kind of architecture. This place used to be teeming, especially during Ramadan. Everything your heart's desire is along here. The beautiful thing was the fresh, like the dates. You get packs of dates. Everything is covered in flies, but you shop anyway. Just know that it's all very, it's on the street. Nothing is covered up. You want some cake, you want some chapatis, you want some samosas. It's all covered in flies. And, you take as much as you need. They weigh it, they put it in a bag, and off you go. And on top of that, the one thing that was a little bit stifling was the smell of dried fish. So dried fish as opposed to a packet of crisps, if I can make that correlation, very flat. It's all flattened and beaten out to a little, like a pulp. And then they just make little balls, and then they pat the little balls into like a hamburger kind of thing. And then they lay it out into the sun to dry, with a little bit of charcoal underneath so that it smokes away the moisture, and you get like a crispy fish patty. Oh, but the smell was pungent. Yep, well, you see, you recognize the architecture, Fernanda, because this is all Portuguese stuff mixed in as well. So we have a modern version here to the left, and the older brick version right here. Older brick, I say. Maybe it's newer brickwork, but definitely not painted. So where did our van go? Right, I guess we have to turn around because we're going down a one-way street. But I really wanted to peek into there earlier, and I couldn't. But you can see how tight everything is, and that's probably, he just thought, nah, I'm just going to drive here. So you've got your fish shop. But I'm just going to drive here. I'm not going to get out of the car. And for some reason, he stopped. Tight squeeze in there. I'm feeling a little bit sad. Let's hope we didn't hit that road already, but it's a bigger one. Classic fashions. Shall we go window shopping? But also the amount of people I'm seeing here. It's incredible. Look at this. Oh, these are very, very popular. This is your vegetable man. That's how he comes around. He pulls his wares along the streets, and then you stop and shop. And not just this kind of vegetables, not just, you know, the tomatoes and onions, and anything goes into these carts, be it coconut, bananas, mangoes, you name it. Sometimes they'll chop them up for you right there, dip them into chili, and you've got your street food. It's all good stuff. Now, would I feel safe? Corn, here we go, corn and pineapple. That's the way you go shopping. If you don't own a locale, then at least you own one of these little schlep things. And in the heat, I have to admire them because they have to carry these guys around. Roll them around up and down the little hills because Mombasa is not entirely flat. We're going backwards, I know. But seeing as I'm following the way that he has to go. So they've got tuk-tuks, which is surprising. But of course, if people park where they're not supposed to, then yeah, this is let's just say keeping it real. We didn't get the streets clean prior to your arrival, but it's good to have you here. Wow, intersection. Oh, gridlock. But Hakuna Matata. So every tuk-tuk apparently has its name. We saw the manager, we've got Hope here, but we have Mashallah. Now this could probably mean also there's a company and he owns more than one tuk-tuk, but I think I would jump into Hakuna Matata. I feel safe with Hakuna Matata. Now I was talking to Joseph from Kerala, and he was telling me about a friend of his who was selling shoes, and I think it was maybe in Dubai or in Nairobi, and the shoe shop was called Bata Bata. And it's true, we had Bata Bata as well in Kenya. That was actually the only real shop with shoes that was like a brand. And I got my safari boots there. So here we have the Kenyan police. I was looking at this because I thought, German flag, what's that? I didn't realize the police station had, the police commissioner's house was already right here. We've come a long way. We have come a long way through the streets of Mumbai, as we used to call it. Mumbai. Now, we used to play sports against the Coast Girls High School. They were rough. They didn't abide by rules. They didn't care. And they had long nails. It was horrible. So, especially hockey, but they were good. So let me see, just one more time, what we can glean out of. I went to the butterfly house, but there's nothing to see there. We'll go to another butterfly place for some refreshing, clean, natural air. Oh, when I see these anchors, fantastic. So glad they're still there. Oh, hello, Tambo. Who are you? I'm sorry I can't read your name. It's either Ukrainian or Russian. It's nice that we could use your picture. Thank you for leaving it here. This is awesome. All these dukas. Dukas in Swahili is a kiosk. These dukas were not there before. But yeah. Right, so if I can find it, I'm going to just show you what I couldn't show you on the video. Let me make sure that I don't waste your time. Keep it moving here. They are now called Coast Senior Academy. Come on, Mina. Senior Academy. It better be the right one because I'm abbreviating. There we go. This was our junior school. It is now the senior academy. Right here is where I went to school. Let me go back a little bit so you can see the proportions. Just don't lose that pin. So we got the pin, and this is where we went to for lunch, always down here to the pool right up there. Come here. Are you gonna let me? Yeah, the pool right up there. So it was much closer instead of fighting the traffic. Always had our cucumber sandwiches there, egg sandwiches, and a salt water swimming pool. So I remember this. We didn't have as a painted basketball, any ball, volleyball, softball court. But I remember that this was the main building, the stairs going up here, but my classes were up in this corner right here. The main entrance is over here. And this is where the headmaster's office was down here. And that is where he used to give the tacky or capital, like not capital, but corporal punishment for being naughty. Back in the day, that was the norm. You got the cane, the belt, or the shoe, or a ruler over your knuckles, depending. Now, opposite the school used to be a YMCA. That has left. But now this is where I used to go to school as a preschooler, mid-schooler before the Nyali Academy, well, the Nyali Academy opened, and then I was there as a senior. So yeah, we can't go in there, unfortunately. But at least it's nicely painted. But this whole school was only little people. Let me just make sure. Hey, Evie, it's good to see you. I'm sorry that I didn't see your comment come through. Welcome. Karibuni, as they say in my language. Yes, I am from Kenya. I am German by nationality, but I was born and raised in Kenya and spent my first 18 years in Kenya. So my first years, but basically this is actually the town of my birth. Mombasa is where I was born. Speaking of which, it used to be called the Catherine Beebe Hospital. And here we've got my dad's, where we were earlier. Come on. Let me make sure I see you. Now that they've taken the silos away, my visual is gone. So that's where he used to birth. And this is right here, the hospital where I was born. Not even a picture of the hospital, but it looks like a white hotel from the front if I go onto the other side of the coast. And I know, scary, huh? Look at this. The entrance drive to the hospital, but this is how I remember it. I do. This is how I remember it. The part to the left wasn't highly developed. It used to be called the Catherine Beebe Hospital. Beebe being a mother, a caretaker, and I forget who Catherine herself was, but it was named after somebody who was, I suppose, I don't know if she was a nun or the mother of some, I don't know. But it was Catherine Beebe when I was born, and that is on my birth certificate. Now it's the Mombasa Hospital, and nothing's changed here. I remember used to have to go and get blood, give blood, get blood tests, and yeah, I fainted. That was up the stairs here and to the left. I fainted. And something back in the day I did not like was getting my blood taken. But I got used to that after a while, and then now I don't even care. But that was the time, and I almost had a fit. I've totally passed out. Anyway, so this is the hospital right here, and from the front it looks like a beautiful hotel. But it's not. But this is where I would stand. My dad would leave the port, and I had my appendix taken out. I was 12, and I couldn't go with him on that trip, and he would be right here in this waterway. And he actually honked for me, and I will never, ever forget the emotion I felt when my dad tooted his horn for me. 3 salutes I got back then. Just, I remember seeing him on the bridge looking at me through the binoculars, so I waved, and then I could see his hands waving as well. And then the foghorn went, and I was like, oh my God. Even now it gives me goosebumps. I've never, ever had another ship salute me, ever. So the one and only. Anyway, So here's this exhibition center that I was telling you about. We are now on the other side of the coast. And before I forget, let me take you down and see if it's possible to look through the trees. I tried earlier, but everything is barricaded with high walls now. There's no, you see, boom, there's no clear view across. You used to be able to look across here. You see, here's the old part of Mombasa. And you used to be able to, and then the hospital would be down here, but there's no looking through anything. Let me see what Fernanda is saying. Oh, I know, Fernanda, I should stop. Oh, there's a tuk-tuk here as well. There's tuk-tuks everywhere. Amazing that they've embraced that. So we're still on the cement road, but we're way past the silos now. And this used to be just a dirt lane, but of course with all the posh developments happening along that beautiful coastline leading into the port, they needed a little bit more. But we can't see anything. KK Security is still in business, as I can see. None of this was here. This was all undeveloped bushland. We did a lot of walking along these Royal Beach apartments. Okay, cool. But you blocked our view because we could see across here. Well, you would walk along here barefoot through the brush because all along here and down there's little nooks and crannies and secret beaches back in the day, you know, where you had to sort of go down older looking cliffs, find your way down. Let's just say only the totos, the children and the locals, everybody only knew about them. And of course, well, now, we're at a hill, can we look over? Nope. They've blocked the view. But these apartments, they look maybe unkempt, but for Kenya, they are expensive. Put a little bit of thatch roof on and it's luxury, even though they don't take care. The minute you put thatch roof on something in Kenya, it makes it authentic, makes it luxury and unaffordable. So these apartments, even though they are small, but they are super high rent for sure. For sure. It's only for the not, you know, middle class people are fancy people in Kenya simply because of property values. But here's the hospital. So let's go back down here, because here on this hunting ground, we're on the mainland. If we were to go straight across this road, again, this is my orientation, just to keep my eyeballs where I'm going, because if we were to go straight, we would cross that bridge back in the day. Mkomani is the village that had the bridge, so we've got the Mkomani Mosque, but if you were to turn left, you would always drive to my dad's ship. Let's see if Google Earth took us there. You see, this is cement road. These blocks of apartments are probably unaffordable for anybody else, but maybe middle class, upper class. And they are not exactly top specs. Now, why is Google Earth not allowing me? Can I? There we go. I have to go to the junction. I must take the junction so that the car can turn left. But the main reason for me taking you down this road is also not to bore you with beautiful buildings that are unkempt. These weren't there before, but if I can see something on the right, there is a beautiful restaurant and I would highly recommend. It's called the Tamarind Restaurant. Let's go up. This is not a beautiful drive. There's a Tamarind Restaurant still in existence to this day right here. The only picture that I could find is right on the deck of the restaurant itself. And we are going to go there because this is where I hang out a lot. Fantastic food, straight out of the aquarium. You can pick your own lobster. But the beauty about this place, and it hasn't changed much at all, tablecloths, same, maybe not the same ones as in my day, but the look with the dark blue border, everything is the same. And then even while I was still there, this was fancy and nice that they actually put a little bit of glass around it so that it was more protected from the breeze if there were to be a breeze. And my dad's ship would always be over here. You can still see some of the pylons where the ropes he would be tied to. So they are still there. And then you can see the old port of Mombasa all across on the back. And usually this should be filled with nice looking dhows, but well, well, well. So for the images, this is a studio VR. I'm just giving credit, but the studio VR doesn't tell me who the owner is. But the Tamarind restaurant is built according to the principles of maybe a mosque or an Arabian palace. Very authentic, still the way I remember it. Those arches, that takes you to the ladies' room. The lobster tank was over here, around the corner, up the stairs there. Beautiful baby oysters with a squeeze of lime on top, piled up on crushed ice. Gorgeous stuff here. Beautifully roasted coconut chips that were, all this homemade, that were marinated prior to give a beautiful smoky flavor. It all happened right here. Tamarind, I'm so glad that it's still in existence. My first ever boyfriend, I was 12, he was 15. He ended up being, for a stint, the general manager at Tamarind. And Tamarind, at my time, was only the restaurant. It has now expanded into its own, let's say, property company as well. They've gone into real estate. So all this right here is now their Tamarind Apartments. Sorry, we'll stop right there. This bit right here, Tamarind Apartments, probably unaffordable for the likes of me, but they went into real estate. They also went into the hotel business. So they expanded quite a bit. And then they also opened a restaurant in Nairobi, which is unusual because normally the restaurants from Nairobi would then start to open restaurants on the coast. So Tamarind here was authentic back in the day. Now they also have their own dhow. So you can have dinner on the dhow, and then they'll take you out cruising around the old port, go back around the Twapa Creek, the place we just visited, and you have dinner, and then you come back for your aperitif back to the restaurant. Very, very beautiful. Love the concept. But you see, again, when you go down, you get to this beautiful place, but you have to traverse reality. And this is reality. And then there's pockets and oases of where your mind can rest if you are, let's say, from a Western country that is trying to experience Mombasa. Then you have to experience it, or you will be just going from one pocket of luxury to the next pocket of luxury. And yeah, I don't know. I know that this isn't a great selling point for Mombasa. I'm not in the business of selling anything. But I can tell you that it was a little bit shocking for me, to be honest. I knew that they wouldn't upkeep everything. Of course, that's unrealistic. But to see Mombasa town itself in such decay and decline, that is sad. So moving from the island, which is up here in the corner, great golf course right here, by the way, Links Golf Course. But moving from the island, we then finally got ourselves our own school, which was closer to home. So my home was over here. I got to make sure that's the exhibition center. So my home was here, right there. I should take you there. And that was my school. And then I would have obviously drive along here. The orchids started here with this little colony of homes. They all had orchids in their gardens. And I would be running around back and forth, eventually get cuttings, put them in my own garden. Let's go down there. You will be horrified. Maybe not. I was. That is the entrance to my apartment complex where I lived from preschool. Yeah, even all the way through high school, except I never went home again at the age of 17. So back in the day, we had a gate, but it was always open. We didn't have chain link. We didn't have some kind of a tarp to cover the view. So here's the garage building in the back. We had a Peugeot and a little Beetle parked in the garage here for the apartments. There's only 4 apartments. And here was the Shamba Boy's place. This is a little accommodation for the gardener and his wife. And yes, it's only 1 room. And here's a beautiful, still very old tamarind tree right now. I used to climb it to get the tamarind seeds and make my own tamarind lemonade. delicious. I used to actually eat the seeds out of the pods straight away. They wouldn't even make it to water unless the harvest was large enough. It's probably not proper fruit bearing anymore because it's too old, not been pruned. But then this is also majorly overgrown because this is the whole plot of land. You can hardly see the apartments through here. Back in my day, you could still see the apartments. Now it's just a big wall of nothing. But this is all overgrown with the vines. Gloriosa lilies mainly. When I talk about Gloriosa lilies in my garden, it would be on the inside here, inside the fence, out. You know, they would be a backdrop, but now it's probably all over. Yeah, you see, if you don't take care of the vining plants, they'll take care of your garden. So this is Exhibition Road because clearly you go to the exhibition field that I showed you earlier, which maybe we should have a look. If I get the right picture, I might be able to show you the band. I stumbled across a picture just by, oh, this was a couple of months ago. Oh, let me make sure I don't lose where we're at. Princess Park exhibition, there we go. I stumbled across a picture and I was like, no way! And there was actually a band on the field and I can't see it right now, but let's go there. But this is my path to my dad's silos. Pretty much. Now, without all the fresh paint on, and I'm not going to diss it because this is fresh paint, my memories were not like with fresh paint, but pretty much like, you know, walking across the crunchy grass. Safaricom Kenya, and where are the exhibition grounds? There we go. Oh, maybe we need to move forward a little bit. Maybe we get to peek over because we could see the bleachers. There we go. There's still one little billboard in the way. Mombasa Cement. Oh, I'm not sure Bamburi would appreciate that. But we can't really peek over the wall. But this is the exhibition field that I could always hear the band practicing on. All the bleachers would be filled with people cheering on whatever was going on. And of course, yeah, I guess they do multi-purpose it now and make it into also a football field when it's a soccer pitch when it wasn't used as an exhibition park. But this is the typical shrubbery I would go through. Signs, interesting. There are signs, okay. Anyway, let me get out of my nostalgic little thing. I thought I could show you the band image, but I can't see it now. Normally, if there's an image on Google Earth, there is a dot somewhere. Nope. So let me take this away because it's much easier browsing. So let's go. If you're still so inclined, if you're enjoying this little thing here, let's go and see the state of my, the entrance of my, let's say, secondary school. Yeah, pretty much. Jambo watoto. So this is here where we would actually be looking at the school. This is the pool. You can see the diving benches here. But I am surprised at, yeah, the high walls. I mean, I get it. I get it. But what I used to love about this road is the smell of the neem trees. You see all these neem trees here? They gave I don't like the smell of neem oil, but neem trees in the heat, they give off a sweet fragrance from all the berries. Everything that is sort of yellow, it's not just the yellowing leaves, it's also berries. And it's a very pungent, heady fragrance. Got lots of neem trees. That was the beauty about this whole drive that, as I'm reading the sign, Greenwood Drive. You see, we're in a little bit more of a fancier area now because the signposts are black and white. They are properly printed out, somewhat straight as well. So I'm gonna get my bearings. But yeah, glass shards on the walls, very common as well. If it's not barbed wire, it's glass shards. if you remember, if you watch the video of my African Orchids and Stories, and I showed you a picture, this was the main building right here, and the basketball courts, the sports courts right here, they hadn't been developed yet. So when I was playing the recorder, not even the flute, the recorder, it was right here. And none of this was developed. That was all part of a plan, so to speak. But anyway, so that's my secondary school. And then I went to Rift Valley Academy, the place where we were the last time. And then more orchids would come from the properties over here, single villas all around here. All these people would be either diplomats or CEOs of European companies. They all had their abodes in Nyali, very fancy, beautiful homes. I wouldn't know who lives there now, but we can go down and check, and I'll tell you pretty much by the looks of things how the upkeep is. Yeah. Maybe they've changed hands. Whoa. Broken brick walls, never a good thing. But Google Earth, I'm telling you, he's been ambitious. We had some Swiss families here as well, Swiss bankers. And there was an embassy down in here as well. Where this is where I met Kofi Annan. It wasn't the Ghana embassy at all, but he was here for the inauguration of, after the maiden voyage of one of my father's ships. And it was along this road. There was a villa, big villa, of course, big swimming pool. And that's where I met Kofi Annan. And I was still rather small, but I will never forget that meeting. He impressed me incredibly. Hungarian royalty as well lived here, let's just say. There was a family that had 4 or 5 homes. They were all from the Hungarian royal family living in exile. And one of them was so in love with Great Danes, she had 7 of them. 7 Great Danes. So this is the hotel I was talking about back then, and this is the scary part. Let's go and look down here, because this is where I was talking about afternoon tea and having monkeys pinch your afternoon tea. And I guess here we are doing some virtual reality setups, which is a nice thing to see. At least they promoted it. This was the path down to the beach. In my day, the main path that has now switched and moved a little bit to the left of this whole property. This is Nyali Beach Hotel, but I used to have my surfboard on this beach, and this is where I hung out at Christmas, New Year's, all the time. This is where I did my swim training a lot of the time. Depending on the tide, I would also do it outside of the school, the ocean there, depending how much time we had. This was my hangout. Beautiful restaurant down here, still called Mvita Grill. Fantastic, of course, beautiful seafood. And I had my 16th birthday picture taken here. I don't know who took the picture, but I'm grinning like from ear to ear, and I was 16 years old. And I thought, well, hey. Here we have the upper part. You can see the reflection of the swimming pool. I used to train in this pool as well once I finished in the ocean, just to check my times. It was the only pool that was straight and long without having all the landscape fandangle fancy pools around. We needed length and straight, and that is what Nyali Beach Hotel gave us. And the expansion of the hotels right here. And of course, again, you see a fancy fandangle island pool thing. No, we needed something like this. And this was the only one that was close to home, and it suited our purposes perfectly. The one at school was far too short. We could never get up to speed. In order to then practice a flip around, we had to come here. And I can't tell you how lucky I was to be able to come here. This was home away from home. This was my beach. What's up? Oop, hello. Excuse me while we just barge in on your little, they're having tea. And they still have the same pots with the gold embossed Nyali logo on it. That's nice. But yeah. This is what I remember as well. All these beautiful vining. I think they're mangroves. I forget the name. Correct me. What shocked me was this. Okay, unfortunately, we have a cloudy day. What shocked me was the amount of people. I couldn't believe it. Adam Shaw, thank you very much for letting us use your image. If you ever see this, I appreciate that you took this image, because this is like the newer part. My path would be down here. I was shocked to see so many people. This is surprising me. And yeah, it's not exactly, this is also spooky. A chopped off hand right there on a seat. You know, just keep things interesting. But yeah, I was, whoa, when I dropped down into this picture, I thought, no way, impossible. But you see those people out in the things that we had, the inner tires of huge tractors and lorries. When you pumped up the inner tire, it became your swimming device. So much fun. And then if you look, for example, to another beach, we're still at Nyali. This is the golf course right here. Unfortunately, boo, you members, this is Nyali Golf Club where I learned to play golf. Nobody's taking pictures? Come on. I probably quite a bit, Robert. Probably quite a bit. It was probably, I mean, I think there was mass exodus from everybody, with the exception, of course, that of the expats that live there. I wouldn't have left Kenya if during COVID, as an expat living there, I wouldn't have left, because I knew everybody else would leave, and that makes the place empty and safe. So I would have stayed. No, this, but tourism-wise, probably heavily. I don't even know if they're back on their feet. I haven't investigated that. But I'm disappointed in the members of the Nyali Golf Club. No pictures. Are you kidding me? Terrible, terrible representation. Show some pride, would you? Can't even, let me see if I can show you the entrance. Okay, so they still have the net up. This is the end of the driving range right here. Still got the tennis courts, still got the squash courts, swimming pool. You have a yoga studio now. That's nice. But what I love about this, they still have the monkey logo. Could be, you're right. In all fairness, yeah, you're right. I didn't think of that. Yeah, you make a good point there. I love that logo. Anyway, this would take this, if I go the Links Road, it takes us to Nyali Beach Hotel. It takes us back to the exhibition road. It's like a little network thing. Mamba Village is a snake park that was just starting when I was still there. And then I've seen a lot of churches spring up. It's like there's a war on the churches type thing. Who gets there first and who gets the best part? I've seen so many. Oh, and the water park. Look at that. No monkeying around. Nope, nope, nope. Absolutely not. Speaking of monkeys, it was on this hole right here, the par 5, where there's a massive drop in the fairway. So the tee box is right here. And then there's a down, you know, you can see how it dips a little bit, maybe. You can see the change in the color there. It's a huge drop. So if you're long enough, you can really fly your ball over the ridge and shorten a par 5 and get in within reach of 2 shots as opposed to 3. But seeing as you're down here, up there, sorry, you can't see what's going down here, and there would be the monkey. The monkeys would be here and start and steal all your balls. So our caddies would be down here. They wouldn't come all the way to the tee box with us, and yeah, they would make sure that our balls were still there when we arrived. Now, I wanted to show you the expanse of the beach, and I don't need to readjust my globe. I'm so at home with this place. So I know actually this Christ is the Answer ministry is actually a high school classmate of mine. He was in my class and he started this, and I said to him, I said, you're cheating. You should not find the prettiest spots to go and do your mission. You have to go into the boonies. You know, you guys always find the nicest places to then start up a mission. That's not, I don't think that works. That's not the way it works. Yeah, he wasn't too pleased with my comment. He wasn't, and I hope I didn't offend anybody by saying that. But when he told me where his mission was, where he was setting it up, I looked at him and I just like, you know what? That is so transparent. Anyway, so you see this whole beach here? Yes, absolutely. So this is all still Nyali Beach. And I used to be able to walk from the hotel. So this is our hotel up here, all along here. I used to actually run it. The last time I went to Kenya to try to run it, I thought my lungs were going to explode from the humidity. Talk about acclimating. I was not acclimated. I'm like going, yes, I'm going to go jogging on the beach again. Hurrah! I think I made it 10 minutes and I was about to die. So much water in my lungs just by the humidity. I was absolutely, totally unawares. This whole complex, there used to be trade winds, etc., etc. Now it's all one. It's called Voyager. And this is where I went with my children. This is where we stayed. I wanted to stay at Nyali Beach, but there was more activities for children at this hotel. Oh, so we get a night shot. Oh, goody. Anyway, we'll take that one away. There was more activities for little children at this hotel, and they never looked back. They absolutely loved it. So let me show you the grounds of a typical Kenyan hotel. It's massive. Now that they've combined two hotels, this whole hotel's become massive, but because of the different infrastructures, you don't feel like you're in a big resort. But it looks nice from the outside. Let me tell you something. The accommodation is very, very basic. You've got a bed, you've got an air conditioner, you've got a desk, and I don't even think there's a television. Even the bathrooms aren't exactly elaborate. It's what you need. There is sand leading into your room, sand leading out of your room. The maid service doesn't exactly keep the sand out of your room. You know, you just have to go and accept that you're on at the coast and enjoy it for what it is. But I remember this so vividly because of all the coconut palm trees, my favorite palm trees of all time. They have a beautiful whispering sound. Love it. Unfortunately, this was taken on a somewhat overcast day as well. You would think that there's no sun in Mombasa, but I promise you there is. But these grounds were fabulous. All day eating, buffets, teas, you name it, over here. Just brilliant for the children always. And it was one of those experiences that I was from the outside looking in for the majority of my life in Kenya, seeing tourists with their wristbands, meaning that depending on the color is, are you exclusive, all-inclusive, or on the a la carte? And depending on the vibrancy of the wristbands, I knew as a local, your vacation was done quickly. If your wristband was faded, that means you've already been here a while, you're about to go home. And if your wristband was vibrant, you've just arrived. Never mind the sunburns, they would also be a dead giveaway, but I would always look at the wristbands to see who should I become friends with, because if I can find a little Rafiki friend that's a tourist and his wristband was all-inclusive, I think it was turquoise or something, I would hang out with those kiddos because then I'd get my drinks free. Oh, I was like a lobster or a prawn in a little pool of water scrounging away just to, anything for a good deal. Okay, I see your comment, Robert. One of my old saltwater tanks had dozens of fish and water life from that area. The salinity slightly higher. Yes, too true. You and me as a tour, well, me as a tour guide, I'm telling you, I would just say, let's go here, and I wouldn't even know if you like it or not, but let's go here. Oh, I've got to show you this. I'd show you some tricks as well, if they still work to this day. I wouldn't know. But then you had your sunbeds, and there was no rushing around getting towels onto the sunbed. That was novel to me. That's something, I guess, that only happened recently. But you could wheel these things around. They're wood. And it was just, most of them were squeaky. All good fun. All good fun. But you see how well kept this resort is in comparison to where we were with Nyali, because they have taken all the wild vegetation away. And they've pretty much made it a lawn thing. Lawn manicure. Let me take you here. Oh, please don't tell me this is the night picture again. If so, I am sorry. It is the night picture again. Apologies. It's a beautiful little lookout. That's why I wanted to take you there. But I will take you to this pool. I have a picture of myself here, a rare picture of myself with my dad. I can't take you to the pool. Anyway, I have a rare last picture of myself with my dad right here, and he's looking over across the ocean, and I'm draped over him like some kind of a kraken, a sloshy octopus. I've molded myself against him. Yes, I'm an adult, I know. I'm still childish that way. And I guess my sister took a picture, and he's sheepishly looking into the camera saying, "Can you get this thing off me?" My children had a great time in this pool. They learned a lot of Swahili in this pool. They had their creche, which they enjoyed more than I would have liked them to. I would have had more time with them, but they loved being here in the creche with all the animation people. I don't know what they're called, but it's a really, really good experience. Unfortunately, my Nyali Beach Hotel loyalty had to go. Yes, I should blur out the cellulite. And that wonderful late 90s, early 2000s silver bikini. Looking like something out of the movie of Barbarella or something like that. I was just missing the high platform boots from the ABBA days. But for someone that never wore a bikini, my my dad said, "Why are you wearing a bikini?" I said, "Dad," and then it was this inside joke. I think I mentioned it in one of my videos, and it was horrible to find a bikini that I was comfortable wearing. Oh, it was just awful. I think that's partially why I draped myself around my dad, just to hide a few contours. No, I loved him to bits. I gotta gather myself. Whew. Oh dear. Anyway, let me see that we've got this beautiful image here at Bodyworks and Bliss. Are you going to take us there? Thank you. Now this whole thing is somewhat on a cliff edge, and you can walk around. A Bond girl, yes. Sure. Yeah, right. A wannabe. A wannabe. Oh. But here, yeah, anyway, so you get the point, and more pools, etc. And it was just a beautiful place to hang out, lots of little nooks and crannies, and pathways that took you around into what was the second resort merged into one. The Voyager, in case you were wondering. But know that when you leave the resort, you are faced with reality straight away the moment you get out of the driveway. Just so that you can see. Resort to the right, Kenya to the left. And many people do not leave their resorts. This is actually still a really good road. It's in great condition, but you can see the reason being there's so many hotels here that they have to maintain a certain bit of upkeep. That's the back entrance. Anyway, let's move up the road. Oh, there's another thing here, and not that we're going to go there, but I used to be, or still am, I can't afford it anymore, but I used to support a charity called SOS Children's Homes. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I was introduced to them when I was in Kenya. I used to go and play with the children as a child as well. And the concept is that every home, this is a home, has no more than 10 children within the same age group, boys and girls mixed, and they have two parents. Of course, mom and dad. Now, sometimes the parents are real parents, as in they are married, they are a couple, and sometimes they're not. It's just people working for the charity called SOS, and in this case, it's a German name. It is a German organization as well. But I love the idea of, being a parent, living in a home, creating a home environment, and mom and dad are there. The children are orphans, all age groups. They take them on from babies, so they have a home just for babies and toddlers, and all the way up to, when they finish school. So you would think there's not that many homes here, but or even, excuse me, including children, but they like to keep the numbers low in communities like this so that each child feels as though that they are in a family, actual family, and none of them slip through the cracks, if that makes sense. And even as a child, I was so enthralled in this concept. I went there a lot to play. Clearly, it's, Links Road. We're still here. Great road. I went there a lot to play simply because I didn't have an established, safe home. My dad was always at sea. My mom was always belligerent, drunk, not at home. I didn't have that. And I actually came here to experience home, sitting around a table, having a meal, not being forced to eat if you didn't like something, being able to explore something, and feeling the love of a home. And I found that here. And for many, many decades, this is where I put my money. Anything, I used to have a monthly thing, and they always got my money. Let me just say something. I know this is crazy. They're pipe dreams, but let's all just have pipe dreams, yeah? If my channel were ever to take off and we were to start supporting a charity, I would give y'all all the links for I'm not going to be biased about Kenya, but of course my heart is here. And to then you support SOS charities, the children homes. I don't know. First of all, the need is much closer. I don't want to be selfish, but the need is a lot closer to home. But if my channel were to ever become something where I would say, okay, now I can pay my electrics, I can pay my water, I can grocery shop, I've got, my rent is fine, my needs are covered. Now, anything extra I make goes to this, and then we can also do some fundraisers or something. I'm talking, pipe dreams, but I would love to be able to start to give to this home again. Anyway, getting off my soapbox here, but I love this place. I wonder if their walls will stop us from looking in. That square complex in the right of the property is their own school. I love it. This makes me feel warm and fuzzy. So this is the school building right here, and just how can you? What a beautiful concept. Let's see if we can see the entrance. I don't know. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Never mind the vining things again. But isn't that just so pretty when you think about everything, and all the children that are in there, they get a bath, they've got a bed, they've got meals, they've got people that love them. Ah, I love it. I know that there's so much more need out there, but the fact that they make sure that none of their children skip through the cracks. Okay, moving on. So what happens here is, as you leave Links Road, thank you, Fernanda. Thank you. I could do hand hearts around that gate. Okay, so here we are. That's Links Road. You go left, you can go all the way back up to the Mombasa mainland across the new bridge that we saw earlier, or you turn right and go to an area called Bamburi. And Bamburi is where the cement is. And this is the cement factory right here to the right, which is called Bamburi Portland Cement. Now, Bamburi Road is a long stretch of road. And if I zoom out and show you how long it is, it goes all the way to Matwapa. This is Matwapa Creek and ends. Now we've got the border of the Mombasa County. You see, the town itself is the island, but since then everything has expanded. This is north, okay? This is south. So east, west. I know, I'm upside down. The other day I complained I need my globe just so, but this is home. You can put me somewhere and I'll turn around and I'll tell you the direction. I can do that here. This is fantastic. Here's cashew nut country. Beautiful creek. Finally a bridge. There used to be a ferry. Oh, speaking of ferries, if somebody wants to remind me afterwards, and if this is not already dragging out far too long, and if you're not bored, I got to show you the Likoni ferry. I completely lost track of that when we were in Mombasa. The ferry from the Mombasa Island to the south coast. There used to be a ferry here as well. Shanzu is also where the prison is. Shimo Latewa, beautiful ladies' businesses are there for natural agriculture and handmade crafts. And that's also where a prison is. And the prisoners make beautiful handcrafts and they support themselves by making these crafts and then they sell them in the prison shop. But this whole area is so crafty and there's just gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. The majority of statues that you see being sold on the beach, if you have, people are trying to sell their wares, those statues are all made over here from ebony, mahogany, even like they make they use the palm tree bark and make shredded little gnomes. It's too cute, too cute. Beautiful bracelets, necklaces, earrings, shoes, flip-flops, you name it. That's this area. I love it. Anyway, when people say Shimo de la Tewa, I talk handicraft, and when people go prison, I say, yeah, prison too. My priority always leans towards what people actually do. Oh, I love ebony, Robert. Absolutely love it. Oof. Okay, so this is my beach. Now, we went from Nyali Beach, and then we went along the long road where we turned right. So Nyali Beach right here is separated by a coral outcrop, which is heavily developed. I saw this, I was shocked. I see all these buildings here. I am shocked. Now, I'm not saying all of this would have been nice, lush, and green. No, the green thing that we see here is something that Mr. Halla established because the cement factory, this used to all be quarry and finished. It was excavated. It was just moon landscape. And he refurbished it and started building. We'll go in here. We've got some pictures. Some people left some pictures, which is awesome. I'll show you some things in there as well. But this is the Halla Park, named after Mr. Halla. They were my neighbors. And this is my beach from when I was a small child at Toto Kidogo. And this is my beach right here. My home or ex-home is right here. We'll go down. I'll show you. And how do I know that so clearly? How do I know that? How can I spy that from the air without having to zoom in and double check? Because I remember this right here. Now, whether this thing is natural or it is man-made, I do not know. I have no idea. But this is where my home, here's my home. No, I didn't have a pool at the time. That is where Mr. Halla's sons, my childhood friends, the youngest, Danny Haller, now lives here. This is where I used to go down to the beach. And this is a little bit rocky and a little bit dodgy. When the tide is out, I mean, you can go in here. It's not going to hurt you. But when the tide was out, we used to come here because there was a little pool of water that we could still sit in. And that is my marker. I will always find my childhood home based on this. Ta-da! Boma. This is my boma. Now, I don't know if you saw the video, but if not, and if you did, I'm sorry, I'm going to repeat myself. Let me just say something. The old house that I had is this part right here. Unfortunately, Danny, I'm talking to you. If you ever see this, you don't have any pictures except the ones he sent me. Those are in the video of the house, but I get it. Having said that, this is the old house. This is where the snake was, curled up by the air conditioner in my toy basket. That was then afterwards, not to us, afterwards served as dinner for the houseboy and his wife. That was in this house. And then this was our veranda right here. And all of this was sand. Sand, 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 sand. This is not even the original pathway or walkway, whatever. We didn't have a pool. Danny upscaled, upcycled here. He built himself a massive annex. This has now become a villa. Anyway, it was all white beach sand all the way up to the house. And then there was like little flagstones going all the way down through the palm trees, these palm trees right here, all the way down to the beach. Whoops, sorry for making your world blue. And this was my home. This was my home. And this was right here, Danny Haller and Guido Haller's house. They didn't have solar panels at the time, but we were neighbors. So we always used to jump back and forth the home. So they had 2 boys in their home and 2 girls were in my home, our home. And Mr. Haller was the one that then created his natural park over here and made everything beautiful and green again. Now, there wasn't even an airport at my time, so major uptake in quality of life there. I suppose now, yes, a little bit, just a little bit. Actually, wait a second, let me show you. Danny, listen to me. Kucha hapa. No, and he's doing what he has to do. The place is probably rigged with cameras. So this was my driveway back in the day. Nothing's changed. I'm surprised there is even a hint of tarmac, or maybe they refurbished it and it's washed away again. But this would take you to the main road right here. And if I turn around, you're not going to see much because boom, there's a gate. So yeah, so that was our entrance. We didn't have this fancy brick wall. This is all done later. But our trusty car went along. We don't even have his boat. It's probably his boat. But that would be the entrance to my property. You wouldn't see it. This roof, impossible. That's the new annex. It was all down into the brush there. It's a flat little bungalow. Cute little bungalow. Ideal. No need for more. But even though we were rushing through from one property to the other, I wonder, because our trusted Subaru, yeah, took us down a drive. Let's just make sure that we're on the right track. Yeah, we came across here. Fantastic. Going through the boonies, peoples. Going through the boonies. Now you see, not just high walls, but also sharp razor blades, shards of glass, sorry. Razor blade, sharp glass all along the top. So good luck trying to climb those. Whereas, little hint on security here, because I used to traverse walls using trees. So peeps, get your limbs up. Get your limbs up. It's kind of counterproductive what you're doing here. Oh, I used to be the one that would go up a tree and choop over the wall all the time. So mainly down here, you've got private homes. And I don't know whether they're now have anything to do with a cement company or with a cement factory. Back in the day, that was the reason we were in that home, because it had everything to do with a cement factory, which is in the back here. So let's go to, there's another ministry right in the middle of Mr. Haller's park. Okay. Let's go to where we can see things. There we go. Now, thankfully, these buildings aren't there yet, so somebody is doing a row of bungalows. If this is the butterfly pavilion that I remember, there is no pavilion. Okay, so this is an original. This is not the original forest. This is, oh, sorry about that. This is what he recovered. Okay, this is recovered land. So everything he threw into, I know there's no street view available, but there was a picture. I want the picture. Okay, let's go to 2D. Let's regroup. Everything vegetation-wise is what Mr. Haller had planted, replanted, propagated. So this used to be just dust, a quarry. There was nothing there. Just beautiful. Now they call this the Butterfly Park Pavilion. I think they've got the spot wrong, because from my memory, there is a pavilion in these woods. And they say butterfly pavilion, whereas nothing is enclosed. The butterfly is just naturalized here after he finished doing what he's doing. But you can see how turning moon landscape into something gorgeous. Back to nature. Absolutely fantastic. But there's more. There's more. And I'm not going to want to waste your time here. But I know there's more. Eager beaver eyes. He's pro. This is amazing. This wasn't that big when I was there. Meanwhile, the original Haller Park is this. Okay, this is new. This area was the original. The cement factory is right here. Okay, now that we're in the original area, here we go. Thank you very much. We've got beautiful pictures. Now let's hope that they are in shot and that they are actually also sharp. Well, from the perspective of considering all this was moon landscape and old, an old cement quarry, not too shabby, hey? Getting things back and leaving them to their own devices. I think this is awesome. Maghrib Kanyiri, thank you very much for this picture. We appreciate it. You can clearly see it's man-made, but it's just been left to its own devices now. Quite the achievement, but I do want to find that pavilion for you because it's pretty. Ooh, children, it's a field trip. Totoki dogos. There's the little pavilion. We only have one image here, though. This is beautiful. Now, what are they looking at? Because Mr. Haller brought in animals, not from the point of a zoo, but everything that should belong there to rehabilitate the area with not just the vegetation, but also with animals. One of the favorites early animals was the hippo. He brought in some hippos. But then, let me make sure I find it. There's a vegetable garden I can see. Hang on a second. Please let me find the pavilion with a nice picture. There's a huge tree. If you know the Disney's, the Tree of Life, there's a huge tree here as well. Not this one, but it has become, there it is, we found it, This is the one, this is the angle I wanted to show you. It's just a little pavilion for people to come and enjoy the nature, enjoy the surroundings, have picnics, and you just saw that, the school, the class that was there. And then I don't know what this is, you guys, and I'm scared to get in too close. I don't want to be kicked out of this image at all. But this is a tree, but it's like a mangrove or a banyan tree of sorts, like a ficus that grows these aerial roots in high humidity, very popular for bonsai as well. And this tree was, of course, little when I was there. And then over the years, it's one of those very fast growing trees as well. And over the years while I was there, we were already playing among the aerial roots, weaving in and out, being stupid. Now they are so tight and so compact, there is no weaving in and out. But this, I would say this is the original, and then they've added more. This is awesome. I remember this tree as well. It wasn't a multi-trunk when I was there, unless the image has split. And because of the panorama view, this is a flame tree, bright red flame tree, and long seed pods that we used for musical instruments. If you don't break them, then you've got all the seeds and they make great rattles. Those were fun. So let me make sure that I probably won't be able to find that one again. But there is like a roof-like structure right there. Let's give it a go. Maybe we'll find the little class again. That was the same picture. What amazes me about this is the fact that this is now man-made, and what he achieved, and how now it's just somewhat, there it is. Yay! This reminds me of the tree of life. And look at the huge tortoises there. Look at them. Oh my goodness. There's 3 I can see. 1, 2, 3. Sorry. Baloo is getting excited as I speak. Isn't this beautiful? Oh, you guys. So happy when you can just see it when it was back then and how it is now. And of course, they're still taking care of the garden. It's not a garden anymore, but they make sure that they have, hey, Andyland, they make sure that they have, the shrubbery somewhat well kept. They put signs about the vegetation, especially because you've got people coming in to study and check out the nature. But when you see this, oh my word. Oh, this is just amazing. I'm so happy. And I guess there's still there's enough roots around here. You could still be silly and be running around in between. Play Road to Jerusalem with aerial roots. You could only touch one, and then you reduce the circle bit by bit. They're only touching one. when people say stop, when the clapping stopped, then you had to find a root. Oh, good stuff. Very happy to find this picture. Yes. Oh my goodness. Especially with the tortoise there. Who was this? Who can I give credit to here? Maharib Kanyiri again. Dude, thank you. This is amazing. Beautiful sharp images as well. Yeah. This is the picture of the night. I'm so sorry. I'm so distracted. Anyway, so we'll go back up. That is all his doing. So I thought this was the older part where I remembered the lake being small, and then here's the original lake, and now he's expanded. Cool. I wonder if you would like just to have a look, see if there's pictures around the lake at all. There's a stream here. We can try the butterfly pavilion, but I don't remember. Please make our world go nice. Thank you. I don't see any pictures around the lake. But no. Oh, isn't it wonderful to see people there enjoying the space? Oh, I love it. This is what dreams are made of. You just take ash and dust and nasty and turn it into something beautiful. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't see anybody taking any pictures around that lake, which is a huge shame because the first hippo was brought into this area to repopulate with animals as well. But no, we were here before. What a shame. A little baby lost it, doesn't want to walk anymore. Okay, have we got anything that can entice us over here? Maybe by the shambas? This is the fishery. So where they deal with the fish. Huh. No. I wonder if the hippo got too big and she had to be relocated. Anyway, my word, that was awesome. I'm so glad I found that picture. So glad. Cool. Coastal nature with various animals. I suppose that leaves your options open as to what animals can be, can go, and which ones can't. Okay, so I do want to take you just to show you the Likoni ferry. Let's go. I hope everybody is fine. Nobody's gotten ill yet. So we have, not to confuse, this is now the new port. Sorry. This is the new port right here, where you have the bigger ships come in. Not where we were before, but this is the ferry that'll, whoop, there we go. This is the ferry that'll take you to the south coast. Still no bridge, just as well. But let me tell you something. When I was there with my children last, I was scared out of my mind. Whereas before, I had no fear. No fear. I'm bringing my own children, and it was like, ho, Mama Bear came out of me. I was like, you stay here. You're not putting your arms out of the window. Getting on this ferry, I all of a sudden feared for my life. Whereas before it was like, yeah, we're going to take the ferry. They have seen better days, definitely. And sometimes it gets really crowded. And that is when these horrible, horrible disasters happen, when a ferry capsizes and all of a sudden 400 people drown. But this is it. This is Kilindini. And while you wait in the queue, if there is one, up the hill back there, while you wait in the queue, you can go walk up the streets here to all the vendors that sell the roast corn, with, you know, the corn on the cob over charcoal. Then there was also mandazis, which is our flatbread, but, you know, puffed up, not exactly flat. It's a beautiful breakfast bread that you dip into your chai, which is obviously tea, or anything you want, anything, any kind of mabuyus. They are the banana bread, the monkey bread fruit. Here's a baobab tree right here, and you see a baobab. Oh, lots of baobabs here. And the fruit of the baobab tree, inside, when you cut open the big thing that looks like a melon, inside there is pulp and little hardy bits. You take those out, and those are mabuyus. That's called monkey bread. And we used to have mabuyus, and they would be soaked in something pink. Made you look all weird after you've eaten a few of them. It's an acquired taste, to be honest with you. But the pink ones get you started, and then afterwards you don't bother anymore. It's just, I'm having some mabuyus. Good stuff. So that is the Likoni ferry. Let's see if anybody else gave us the pleasure of, because, you know, from the top, it all looks like modern and pristine. No. And they have 3. That's good, because normally they only have 2, and one is always broken, like the ones down here. These are the older ones, or maybe they are there for spare parts right there. The broken ones, if they need a new gate or a new something, they take them from here. So actually, these do look modern and new. 2021, interesting. I got to be careful what I say now, because if these are old, then, but let's see what the images give us. Because, you know, everything can be nice from above. The minute you hit sea level, it's like, yikes. I did not plan it. I did not plan this, I promise. Somebody's having a giggle. Okay, can we steady the ship here? Oh, hey, Daniel van Houten. Dude, we got you. I can't see the date on this image, but Daniel van Houten with his selfie stick. Okay, well, we steadied the ship. We're back, okay? We don't have to look into the ocean as much, but you can see how packed the cars are, like, woo. But if I do move it, it does change. So, yeah, maybe the selfie skills need to improve there, Daniel, but I appreciate you taking this picture. And I reversed. I went back out too far. Well, that was awesome. Thank you, Daniel. That was very innovative, because based on what I see here, besides your dot, maybe this was you on your way back, Daniel. Let's have a look. I know, right, Andylan? Now we're looking up. And it's Daniel Van Houten again. Yay for Daniel. Just when I was saying that there could be disasters, and boom, we're right. Water. Water in Swahili is maji. Yo, Daniel, thank you. These are the new ones. I take back what I say, that everything looks nice and clean from above. These are the new ferries. Woohoo! Mombasa got new ferries. Anyway, Daniel, appreciate that. Shall we have another nice look at the ocean? There we go. Boing. Imagine you're going down to check out the ferry and like, stop. Put on your life vests. Put on your life vests. Oh, and check out all the advertising in the distance. You would be bombarded with billboards. But yeah, as I was saying, the cars get packed up. And so they do move them around, you can't just be all lorries in the front. So the queue, it's a mess. It's an organized mess, but they know what they're doing as they're waving cars on. So if you're just a people carrier, then if you're a matatu like this guy here, this blue one here, that's a matatu. 24 people for a 6-people car, but the capacity is 24. You're welcome. And while you wait, you can go and leave your car, but make sure you come back before you arrive back on the other side. But so they do wave the cars on board with a system so that the ferry doesn't capsize, which is always concerning because, of course, you've got the big trucks and they don't switch their engines off. So can you imagine the heat, the humidity? And then you've got this diesel going. I know you're out in open waters. You should get some, air, you think. No, because the trucks go in the middle and the people carriers go outside just to stabilize the ferry as it crosses the creek. It is insane. So, of course, when I told my children, because we weren't on these fancy ones. No way, Jose. These are the ones that look familiar to me. These guys. These are the ones that look familiar to me. It was a tight squeeze. But, yeah, that's more like it. That's my style. That's my ride. But I told my children, do not open the windows, because what people also try and do, they try to sell their wares while people are sitting in their cars. And not only have you done some street food shopping right here while you were waiting for your car to be, directed, it was your turn to go onto the ferry, they would continue to try to sell to you. But it was such a tight squeeze that literally they would be climbing into your windows. And I was getting a little bit afraid for my children there. I remember it was so hot in the car, so I said, okay, let's crack a window and, it'll be all right. But I was scared. Let me tell you something. Being a child in those environments, no fear. Being a parent with small children in that environment, I thought, HE double hockey sticks. No way, Suddenly. Whereas before I was like, I'm in Kenya, you're in Kenya, we're safe. Yeah, I didn't want to test the system. So that would then take us here to the South Beach. And on the South Coast. On the South Coast, huge palm tree plantations. I mean, enormous. I don't know if these still are, but this is the grid, like the grid for palm tree plantation. And then the friend of mine from high school also has, of course, a missionary down in the most beautiful part of the South Coast. That's why I said, can't take you seriously, because you pick and choose your locations according to what's pretty and not what the necessity is. But anyway, and then, of course, back here now, and this was already in the day, over here, Elephant Sanctuary, but we are really getting inland now. But I just wanted to show you how things are, the infrastructure you would think when you go on safari, everything is a little bit further away. It isn't really. Now, lions, etc., you wouldn't really see in places like this. Of course, clearly more elephants, but when you want to go on safari and you are in Mombasa, you literally don't have to go very far. You can head out into the north direction away from the coast and you're already in, safari country. But yeah, I think there's so much more I could show you, but I'm getting a little bit lost with regards to what could be of interest. I don't know. So before I stumble my way through and ah, you know, keep the movement going, I'm going to just ask if there's any questions because I have been watching the chat, but yeah, I have to be honest. I haven't seen questions, but maybe that's because I'm just talk. And of course, no orchids today. Yeah, I'm sure there's orchids around here somewhere, but that was not part of the plan. I was chasing the summer. So yeah, if there are no questions, and let me just see. Let's give this another little bit of a twirl. Huh. Just give a little bit of a reminder. That's the airport. Oh boy, people arriving at the airport when they then go through everything they have to go through that I pretty much showed you, except for the old town of Mombasa. But it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. When you land in Mombasa and you've left Frankfurt because now there are direct flights. And you land in Mombasa and you think, yay, I'm going to my beautiful paradise, and you have to traverse and get through all the sights and smells of Mombasa proper. You're probably wondering, this was a big mistake. This huge mistake. But that is the reality of it, because there you can see the airport. And if you want to get to your resort, you're either going through this whole mess right there to get to your fancy resort, or you're going from the airport really, I mean, seriously through mess to get to the ferry, and then you go to your resort down here. And this is just population nation. Incredible. Let me try one more thing. How far are we going to go? We didn't actually get onto Nyali Bridge. I just want to make sure, see if there are any images there. The new bridge. Oh boy, no, I'm not, Iwi. I'm sorry. Scusi. Hi. Iwi, I had my eye on the right side of my screen. I was not reading Twitch's chat. I am so sorry. I have to make a mental note that this is going on. You have Phoenix canariensis. I am so sorry. Iwi, I will make a point to make sure that my eyes go in that direction as well. I do apologize. Oh, sorry. Ooh, embarrassing. Oh, while we're here, check this out. Let me show you a home that I briefly stayed in. I was 8. If you're still here, and if my home is still here, you never know. I was 8, and it was my 8th birthday. It's the only birthday party I remember ever having. And I do believe it's this one, although there was no home in front of us. But it was a flat, longish thing right by the road of the new bridge. I had my 8th birthday party there. And the reason I remember it so clearly, excuse me, is because I never really had a birthday party. But the party had to stop because there was a black mamba in the garden. And black mambas are highly poisonous. I was so mad. Finally, I had a birthday party going. I was so mad. But we used to go down into the creek and swim there as well. My goodness. Oh, look at this. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, dear. Huh. And this is like one of the main roads. What is all these empty buildings here that aren't being completed? But this is leads up to the new Nyali Bridge. Yeah, I think there was this bungalow. It was a beautiful bungalow. And then we had a little jetty that could go out. Okay, that was a shocker. But you see, you come from the airport, you think you're in paradise, and it's like, hello, welcome to Mumbai. This bridge, when it was built, sorry that the cars are coming our way, because in Kenya we are right-hand drive. Excuse me, I just had to think in my head. left-hand drive in Europe, right-hand drive in Kenya. So yeah, everything is a little bit opposite. Besides, I'm one of those, I love to play chicken. So hello. When the Ali Bridge was built, it was the fanciest infrastructure in Mombasa. It had traffic lights. We didn't have traffic lights ever. We had roundabouts. But there you see a beautiful view of the creek. And we could also mourn the loss of our beautiful floating bridge, which was over there. So this is what I'm going to have to do in future, is to make sure I look at the other chat from the streaming software that includes all the platforms I am streaming on. So Evie, I do apologize profoundly for that. Very, very sorry. Anyway, if no other questions, if you're still here, I hope that this was of interest. Meanwhile, if you're still here, probably it was a little bit of interest. And if you're here just to support me, I do appreciate that as well. So very, very much. And I will see if there are any questions, because that is what we do in the final minutes of the stream. And if not, I'm going to be saying Kwaheri sana rafiki yangu, which means goodbye, my friend. So I'll just hang around here with y'all for a little bit and see if there are any questions. Oh, I could see how busy Evie was. You have a lot of palm trees, Evie. So, but do you have date palms or coconut palms? I find that coconut palm trees are the queens of palm trees. Not, apart from the queen palms. I get it. But the lag tonight. Ileana Valerio, it's good to see you. Hello. It's good to see you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah. I don't know which one you celebrate. Still here? You still got your helicopter going. Let me type that in the chat. I'll type you my email address. There you go. That's my email. You're welcome to send me images there, which I can feature in tomorrow's live if you wish. And if you want to come up and talk about your orchids, you're very welcome. I can bring those up in the introduction to tomorrow's live. We'll have a look at all your pictures. And if you want to add some commentary, then I'll drop you a link. I'll be 8:30 your time, Iwi barcode. I'll be live 8:30 your time tomorrow. And then Saturday night, there won't be a live. There won't, just because that's Christmas Eve. But again, I left a community post. If anybody is lonely on Christmas Eve, send me an email, because we can time it in such a way that once the orchids are put to bed, that you and I can hang out. If you're lonely, if somebody else wants to join in, I'm here for you. So there's no stream on Saturday night. But if anybody wants some company, I'm all for it. And we can talk anything and everything. I'm good with that. And it's not a live stream, by the way. You're welcome to send the pictures now, Iwi, but I would like to show them tomorrow, because this stream is already 2 hours long. And seeing as the stream is dressed with Africa theme and not the orchid theme, then I would prefer to put it onto the orchid theme, if you don't mind. Merry Christmas. I am everything, anything to celebrate. Merry Christmas, because I remember being in the States, that's what they say. Happy Christmas, because in Europe, that's what they say. Happy holidays to everybody and anybody, because even if somebody doesn't celebrate Christmas, it's the weekend. They hopefully get some time off work, because the majority are celebrating Christmas, so it's a holiday for them as well. I am all over the place when it comes for Christmas. That's okay. You have time. You have time, Iwi. We can deal with that tomorrow. I myself am not a big Christmas person. I used to be, but right now I'm just chill out, and I hope that everybody is safe. Andyland, thank you. Hand hearts. So, iwi barcode. I'm going to look for your email. Chris-san, woohoo! Orchid Ninja, Merry Christmas to you. It's so good to see you. Yes, we can talk all about that tomorrow. iwi barcode, if you want, you can come up tomorrow. I'll be looking for your email and then we can have a long chat. I look forward to hearing what you've done with your bletilla. If English is a bit of a problem, then we talk Spanglish, and we can make sure that everybody understands, and we'll take our time and talk about everything. Thank you, Robert. Yes, remember to hit that like button. That would be amazing. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Hand hearts. Be safe with the rest of your plans today. If you're traveling, if you're in the US and you're hit by that cold front, make sure that you arrive safely, even if it takes a little bit longer for you to get there. It is important that you get there, okay? And then stay warm. Have a good evening. Have a good day. Take care. Bye.